Fuck is this? So peace. All right. Trying to prepare here. And I'm having some technical difficulties with my phone here. If anybody has any questions about anything, this is the time to drop them. And try to get that going. All right. My phone is just not syncing up with my computer here, so okay, this might be it. And one more. I have some good questions. The God O, as he continues to ask these really great questions. I really had planned to be at a law school, sooner than it's. I haven't been there since February, late February. But I'm hoping to maybe be there next week, definitely by May. For the students that are in the New York City area and stuff, and the like. This right now, I'm fixing my notes here. Okay, so just making them a little bit more suitable for myself. All right. Let's see. Okay. That 793rd, I will be. I'm gonna be here till 8. So as soon as 8 o'clock comes, I'll be on that Zoom call. I had the link. Yeah, unfortunately, because I haven't been into school since late February. I don't really know what things have transpired that make it different than normal. I saw some beef and people calling out stuff on YouTube and stuff, but I never seen these people before. So 20 plus years being there and then 2 months not being there, I guess the real experts on the whole thing just popped up. I don't know. I don't know. But definitely be there to see. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's always going to be issues with the school. I I expected that there would be issues with the school just because so many of the things that were done for the school were done by Umala, you know what I'm saying? Just that alone would have made it a little bit of a transition. You know what I'm saying? To figure out what to do now that he's not there to do it all, and so I'm not really going in there for any to offer any solutions. You know what I'm saying? Um, just to offer the things that I've always done due to knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And that once either um, between this Thursday and May, I'll be transitioning back to going there every week. You know what I mean? As I kept writing in the descriptions, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be there regularly. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, and I know Darkim. You mentioned Darkim was expressing very similar concern without getting any email or any word, or was aware who is whatever. Um, it's I'll tell you something, right? Like I said, this is a general build. All right, so I'm gonna give a general build about something, but those old the saying that everybody says, Gandhi, if you want to be the change that you seek to see in the world, a lot of us don't really know how to do that, and sometimes we make a big change, right? And I think of the Tao. These are become very cliche sayings. In the Tao, it said, how was a difficult task done? By one simple task done at a time. Um, it's a If you really want to add on with something, you have to first see if the cipher is worthy to accept the add-on, whether you are ready to add on, and whether you have something insightful to add on. But a lot of times it's testing little things that you can add on. Like, for example, people see me and they see a person that's teaching. They see someone that is comfortable making literature or representing this nation outside in other affairs, whether it be across media, really, right? Comfortable representing my artistic work as a 5%er. You know what I'm saying? Like, my books say Sunez, or they'll say Sunez Allah on them. I have a book coming out very soon. I'm gonna give those official dates soon. This has nothing to do with the nation or anything like that. I'm just throwing that out there. But and my righteous name is on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything I do, I'm comfortable with that. But in my time at a law school, it wasn't like that. I give this story that the first day I went to my class with Knowledge Me, May 1st, 1999, my enlightener. Second day I was ever at the school. First day I was ever at a class. I had memorized mathematics, alphabet, and the 1 to 10, and the first 4 degrees in the 1 to 36. You know what I mean? So I didn't think I was all that. I was trying to be extra ready. I didn't want anyone to kick me out, say I wasn't worthy or anything like that, right? So the at the end of the class, nearing the end of the class, we all had to build, and it was excuse me, it wasn't May 1st, it was May 4th, right? May 4th, it was Tuesday, May 4th, 1999. May 1st was the first day I was ever there. That was a Saturday. May 4th, 1999, my first class I ever went to. And we built on the culture degree, and I gave a build that was respectable, you know what I'm saying, but slightly seemingly advanced because I wasn't supposed to know anything. And yeah, my phone is just really on some slow shit. What's funny with my phone, when it says 5G, when the 5G thing pops up, that's when it's not working. It's such a hustle. You know what I mean? So I get all this radiation with no work. But Anyway, I digress. The at the end of that, I've told this story before, but it's a big part of my history in the nation. At the end of that class, my bill was respectable, I guess. I don't much remember it too much. That's why I keep such good notes. You know what I'm saying? I'm always on a quest for my next idea, not necessarily to remember every piece of information, but to let the pieces of information that I truly understand stay in here, and the pieces of information that I don't, but that I get, that I know it's knowledge. This is why you copy notes. So anyway, I'll build on that a little bit later too. There's a science behind that. He said he asked me to stay after the class. Everybody left. Nazmi said, who are you? I had built on my name and everything too, because I had made my name Sunez. At the time, I was Sunez born Allah. And it was the savior of the universe now shows and proves the equality of zigzag zig born Allah. The people that know me really long, sometimes they'll call me Sunez born Allah. You know what I mean? But there was a certain moment where I was like, I not born Allah. I became, I am. Son is Allah. So, he told me if you keep up like this, you'll teach here one day. From that point on, I've been pretty much groomed to teach at the school. You know what I'm saying? And but that doesn't mean, the reason I'm saying this is that doesn't mean that I said, oh well, I'll be some fancy teacher one day. No, it was in the guise. I never thought about that again until later. I only thought about that when Day's son thought of a class structure called P.E.A.C.E, Political Education and Civilization Enrichment. I had not thought of that. I had not thought, he said, I got to teach a class here. I got to get sharp. I mean, there are juggernauts everywhere. It's just a stupid idea to me. Like, that's beyond, like, you know what I'm saying? That's beyond any scope. I'm like, I'm not going to teach anything. Look, there's firstborn prince lives here. I'm not teaching anything. Khalim is next door and pretty much lives daily in his next door store. I'm not teaching anything. There's juggernauts here. Knowledge me teaches. He's my teacher. Saving knowledge is outside selling books. He's an incredible teacher. What do I have to add on? And then people like Infinite Al-Jamar, Dumar, Wise Jamel, all these people, the juggernauts, legends. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know much, but I knew I was around legendary teachers, legendary instructors. So that never crossed my mind again until Dayson pitched it. And we teach a particular class. Our mentality of revolution, the way we thought about it. You know what I'm saying? Me and Dayson, we two of them 2 million Indians. You know what I'm saying? Definitely two of them. But that year in 1999, when I was in the nation, I was there every single day. Every single day I was at a law school in Mecca. Just because I realized I learned so much. Once I got conscious and radicalized to revolution, Puerto Rican revolution of the Black diaspora. But this was a different education. You know what I'm saying? And I had gone through a lot of different types of educations and mentorships. From mentorships, just loose mentorships out in the streets of Spanish Harlem to learn salsa and that culture, which is a big deal to me because that was the rebellious music of the time that came from the people that I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? What were they saying? Why didn't I know these things? These are all things that I was learning about. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't think about that thing that he said for a long time. Like after he said that, I didn't think about it for a long time. Until Dayson made the curriculum. But Dayson didn't know the story. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think about it again. This is why I write a journal. I didn't think about the weight of that story. I just chronicled it. But The reason I'm telling you this is that while that became the calling, the way that I am most useful, I think, in educating, I think out of the 5% pedagogy, most of us are best in the street. We all should be in the street somehow. You know what I'm saying? And for me, the streets today has been really for the last few years. COVID really made that crazy. But for years, the streets have really been the ciphers of underground music, hip hop music, and where I find those artists and the people that are around these artists, the fans, the listeners, the people that I engage in, where I explain things, um, where I build with people that have these forms and try to get them to understand what we deal with, though, because they're around it, but they don't really know it, you know? And there's a few others like that. Obviously, Dark Kim is in those worlds too, you know? Uh, Black Man Allah, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know who he is. You do research, right? Um, Give me a second here. I mentioned the God Black Man. You might know him as Kenyatta Black. You know what I'm saying? But Born God out there in Canada. You know what I'm saying? It's not Born God, Born King out in Canada. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? But so ultimately, what I mean is this: as far as a law school in Mecca, right? There's a lot of things that we can do, but when I got knowledge, I wasn't thinking about this particular calling. We did everything. So every time we was there, every time we was at a parliament, something like that, one of the elders was recruiting us to say, "Hey, you're good at this. You get down with this." And I became the secretary of the Law Youth Center in Mecca board. You know what I'm saying? I had a hand in editing these bylaws, so that they reflect. I didn't really have much ideas to them. I will say that. Um, but I certainly had a hand in editing them, you know what I'm saying? So that they reflect what the board wanted. I made newspapers for it and did the simple jobs, cleaning up, working when it was time to fix out the yards and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Um, so you find your path. You find what you can add on with it as you go along. You know what I mean? And some things might not stick, other things will, or you be a useful journeyman within the cipher, right? So we'll see what happens in that meeting and stuff. It kind of was like a general meeting. The way I got it was to send it to people you thought were useful. So I really only sent it to one person. Um, I just didn't have time to think about who should be in the meeting, you know. Um, but there's a lot of people, that I would just assume would have it already. Considering that the last Zoom meetings like this were about the trademark, and there was like 1 million people in there. Some of them that I don't even know. I don't know what they do. I really don't. So Let me read these. Um, there have been also. You said possibility of other schools in different cities. Yeah, there have been. There have been. So it's not whether I see it though. It's a reality. It has happened already. It's has happened many times. So it's not whether other places will have it. It's how long they last. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that they're lesser or anything like that. It's very difficult to have a school of this type of nature. You know, because it isn't one that can take funds uh, from other places and stuff. Uh, what we teach is not really aligned with comfortably with others. You know what I mean? Um, and many of them are started. They're not started like the way this one is. This one is started because it was given to us. The building was given. Um, the other schools have not. They're people that they get together and they take a building, they take an area, they take a storefront, and they do it all themselves. So it has the experience of a non-for-profit business. Not saying that they were doing things not, but it has that experience because they don't have it isn't automatically theirs to always keep and stuff. So they have to keep it like they would keep any type of business. It's, it's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult to do. You know, that's one thing that makes a school in Mecca different than the other schools. It makes it a little bit different. Like you said, what is a practical view of the exact date of devil's civilization? How is it before 1914 and now? I always saw 1914 as the once truth is officially brought to light, then that means that it's only a matter of time. So that's all you can really prophecy. You cannot prophecy how people will use it, what they will do with it, right? How well they'll use it, but whether it's out there and in a position to be incontrovertible, that it cannot be done though, And I see the God, I see the God in you, the God in you, you know. But I did, I did, I did. I left a message, and I left a text message.
Okay, you heard that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got that. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try, okay? Yeah.
All right. Malik, I appreciate the well wishes for my family and stuff. It's day to day. Give me a second here. I tried to turn on my phone again, and it's not. God was asking me. Got Kasim. Side note, we could do this some other time though, but there's no way. There's no way in hell that Jay-Z is ever going to be the GOAT of anything. That's the same as saying LeBron is the GOAT. Sounds good, might be good, but it's not. This is a side note. Just throwing it out there. You know what I mean? And since we're talking about a law school in Mecca, let's talk about integrity. You know what I'm saying? Because we love the culture that we do, and even then the arts that we try to do in that level is about integrity. You know what I mean? They're about originality. They're about the sincerity of works. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. You know what I'm saying? But I could never salute anybody that had in gentrifying Medina. You know what I'm saying? And then sing sob stories. Oh, mercy me. You know what I mean? I could never do that. You know what I mean? And even if it was Nas or anybody like that, I question, and so you wrote Nas as the GOAT. I think Nas is a GOAT candidate though, but I question every single artist that is becoming a billionaire now. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're becoming a billionaire now, that means they invested in things that ruin the society. And more so now, because all the billionaires that are really making money the last couple of years and reaching billionairehood or reaching uh, super billionaire status, right, are because they manipulated all of the capital, that was lost by lockdowns. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm wary of that, though, whether they're ignorant to it or they are not ignorant to it. But but I would love to get into that, though. But it's very simple. You know what I'm saying? It's very simple. It's about the integrity. You know, it's not about the talents. It's not about the talents. I even have a phrase for it, though. I get Kasim. I'll give you all that, though. But I don't write about it officially because you know what I mean. Because if I when I write, a lot of times when I publish articles or something like that, if I write one negative article about an artist, or better yet, a performer, right? People will go, "Oh, Sunez, you just waste all your time. Always talk about how Jay-Z's or blank blank or Kanye or whatever." And if you look at my track record, I just published a book where I wrote over about 300 artists. You know what I'm saying? And in there was probably, out of those 300 artists, maybe about 10 or 15 of them that I wrote negatively about. And it was literally done on purpose. So that way, the whole context of everybody that I was trying to cover was given context of how I compare. But when you judge art, when you judge individuals, why would it be different? Why is integrity? Greatness doesn't mean being the best. You know what I'm saying? Greatness. When you use the word greatness? Greatness means that is a combination of best, but also in the most magnificent way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get into artists in here, but I want you to think about what we do in here. Like, we're giving ourselves the greatest title, and see that even if you don't know it well enough, this knowledge of self, you're walking out there with the greatest title known, because the average person doesn't see it as the natural identity, like father. You know what I mean? They see it as a title. God. And if you don't see that nothing is worthwhile if it is done with a lack of integrity. You know what I mean? Right? A lack of integrity, biting, molding, manipulating, taking pieces and bits, all of these kind of things, But Kasim, I'm definitely gonna give you my thoughts. The God is from Medina, so I know about the Medina biases, though. You know what I'm saying? But I know about the Medina biases, though. I understand it. You know what I mean? Anybody that may change clothes and go has got to be off the list, though. That's all I'll say that there. Just want to throw a little dark there. One of the most horrible songs that has ever etched into my memory, though. All right, a lot of good people here. Right? Jarrell, Rome, peace. YG, you said today's mathematics is God, knowing right from wrong and doing things right, respectfully, practical, useful, with what he knows, such as making the wilderness. Wait, do I have the wilderness beautiful daily? Whew, that sounds like a high, difficult to do. But I want to go back to what I was saying was the end of the devil's civilization. Things end when knowledge is sufficiently given, and when knowledge was sufficiently adhered. One of the things that makes it 1914 to me is that we have, even to this day, over 100 years later, that truth has grown in depth in how it's being shared, right? Obviously, with the Father, the most important, but also continues to be shared and not mutilated or dismissed or anything like that. and people worry about it being shared less or more. These are the fluctuations of time. I mean, you really thought that, let's keep it real. You really thought that everybody that got it in the 80s and 90s and heard about it and were saying, I come in the name of da da, if they don't have it now, it means that they didn't really understand it. Like we keep saying, like, like people go, oh, he's a 5%er, but he's not anymore. He used to be. I hate when people say that because that means that they never were. I don't necessarily agree with that because I don't want to get into the mindset of everyone in that nature. But I will say this though. You could be a lot of things and really truly believe. That's because you believed it. But you didn't really see it though. So you didn't see how it would go daily living. You know what I'm saying? The reason people get upset with that is because it seems like they just, they went Syl Johnson. Any way the wind blows, it's cool with me. You know what I'm saying? The legendary Syl Johnson. You know what I mean? If you love RZA's music, you gotta love Syl Johnson. All right. But it's a good build, Wise You. Make a more practical. How would we do these things? All of that. You know what I mean? Who are some integral artists that stick out? I'm gonna leave it here, but also, like I said, I've written books about it. People are interested at. Like I could name you 50 people. I could name you 50 people now that didn't exist in the 90s. You know what I mean? There's tons. What was Malik? You said what was the devil's civilization, and didn't he lose knowing self because Musa came to teach him and had a hard time? Okay. No. The devil didn't. The devil, when the devil got exiled, he didn't get exiled because they didn't necessarily lose the knowledge of who they were. They just didn't have a way, excuse me, of directing it. So they became useless, though. You know what I mean? Right? So, like I said, this devilishment only works with trick knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Right? Absolutely, Rome. Medina is also known as the Warriors. You know what I mean? Stickman, definitely. Good brother, Stickman. Good brother. You know what I mean? Did me a solid. In one of my publications a long time ago, wrote me something that probably would have been worth back then. I'd say he could have charged $3,000, something like that, and he just gave it to me for free. He wrote these things for free, so I was, it's good man. Um, Malik, I agree with you. Most artists into venture capital. You know what I'm saying? But I think after a while, we have to know where our investments go to. It's not enough. It's not enough. And I'm a big proponent of the work that he's done. Nas as an MC, as an artist. I don't think that I think that it's dope. You know what I'm saying? It's legend. I think he's a GOAT candidate. If people know me, I don't really tell you who I think is the GOAT. I only tell you who I think is absolute GOAT candidate and who's the GOAT. Because I don't give a shit. I want people to know the reasons. The earth. I give you the earth, wind, and fire. That's who I am. Though. I give you the reasons that they're here. You know what I mean? But I think that as we go along and as your finances become so big, you have to start looking at why these finances are so multiplying at such a rapid rate. That you're being ignorant to say that it's blood sucking, and then to make all this money. And I'm not talking about Nas or anybody like that, but let's say you're a conscious MC, or let's say it's Nas. Like let's say he's making all this money, but then he's not looking at where. Like I said, this is not Nas. I'm just saying because he's a great conscious thinking MC. He tackles the devilishment that's out there the best way he can, and in an extremely artistic way. Right? He's after a while you have to look at why am I making so much? Why is there such a big gap? You know what I mean? And I think that people don't look at it that way. They just look at, well, now I have generational wealth the individuals that I distinctly care for, you know, and that's fine for even people like Nas or anything. But if you're a 5%er, you think about your responsibility to this whole universe as a true and living God. So you think, well, what is the responsibility of this? Is it for me to make billions, millions, and give people thousands? Is that really the worth of it all? You know what I'm saying? Right, right. And I'm reading these comments now. You know, you can't stand when people say that I was a 5% when I was younger. I, I'm just saying, like, I don't really get bitter with anything I hear. You know what I mean? I don't agree with everything, right? But I think that, you know, I think that we have to look at people that get this knowledge and that they were never given this knowledge and given the opportunity to use knowledge, right? Understand what real civilization is, right? What are the ways of righteousness? And then the knowledge of self. They didn't get it in order. They just got knowledge of self, and then they were expected to do the other two things. Not everybody's there. You have to evaluate who you share with. And I will tell you now that these are seeds of bitterness that they can multiply. You know, I'm okay with everybody that doesn't deal with it, though. The minute I started to teach, though, I realized how few people had it, though. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. You know, those that know, or those that can assume, or those that talk shit, or anybody like that, if they see my classroom and they see it here, they can see it here too. I teach in a very structured way. You're going to get assignments. The more you build with me, I expect assignments. I expect you to learn. I expect you to ask questions. There are things I expect you to read. It's actual work. It's a real curriculum, and it is molded to each individual. The more that I knew you, the more the work that you will get from me, and or the more critique of your work that you will get from me. All right, and as we go along, you know, as we go along, um, you tend to see who doesn't want to be an actual student. You know what I'm saying? They want to just be that, or that title already. I don't think it's about that. I don't think it's about that. You know? You're assuming we're talking about Malik the Devils, right? So when you say so his civilization is devilishment. No, 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 no. I think he got exiled because that's what they thought. It would just be like that. No one can survive consistently with a civilization of just devilishment. America doesn't survive though by just 100% carnage and evil. You know what I mean? If not, it wouldn't have survived. You know what I'm saying? Right? Why do I give the examples of Christmas every time we go through Christmas? You know, there was carnage, real savagery at the end of the year because that was the only Saturnalia was the only savage way that they knew. You know, basically the purge for a whole month, but they knew that they couldn't survive that way, so they had to what? Go to the children and target the children. You know, target things for the children, and by targeting slowly but surely Santa Claus, absorbing this concept that they learned, uh, give candies out for the children, and then slowly but surely, once they start giving things for the children, then they start realizing presents. Then they start realizing, wait a minute, if we make it a financial holiday, and then they realize at the end of the year the books cook better, we're getting more stuff for the, you know, and it slowly but surely grows into something that can bloodsuck, but also keep the society alive. You know what I mean? This leech nature, you know, this leech synergy, leech host synergy, I should say, that that the devil society, that's what their civilization is. And then just when you say it's devilishment, it sounds like it's just carnage and stuff like that. You know, I wish it was that easy. It would be so easy. You know what I mean? You know, it's real people. You know what I mean? Real people. You know, it's not like they're all devils and stuff like that. These are real people with weak thoughts that do wickedness on all varying levels. And it's the overriding as a populace, the weakness that is drawn into wickedness. that keeps the wicked on top, the most wicked on top, right? But it's a society filled with weak people that are doing their best and don't want to be weak. You know, just like when you look at the average Christian, you know, think about that. They expect themselves to be in sin. Right? That's a very profound hell to be in, where the worst of you will always be expected. Okay. Also, you said, "Can I cash app you for?" You know what? Just email me and I'll give you that information real quick. Okay. I don't want to make any sales on here this time. My Power Right show is gonna come back soon. I have the place for it. You know, it'll be done soon. I have many forums to share my work. You know what I mean? If you see me online and social media and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Right. So that you know, it's not to it. Right. 793, you said, yeah, have been doing that for years, pointing out and making light of particular qualities of artists that works in the times over merely an order on a preference list, you know? Right, and those preferences matter too, you know what I'm saying? People say things are subjective, but I I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to be a music journalist and historian though if I just went with the thought, which is incorrect, 100% incorrect, that music is because music is subjective. Whether you will like music is subjective, but whether music is quality, and it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different thing. All right. Rome, you can add anything that actually is technically correct. But it would, you know, to keep it simple, I wouldn't say you were adding it. I wouldn't add it to actual facts. I would just add it to like a additional, make your own additional plus lesson. That way you have the tradition of what we deal with and then what you added on to it though. You know what I mean? But and then also see, no, and it, why would that be useful? And then that's the question too. Like, why would it be useful if the kids to know that there were 31,000, I mean, excuse me, 31,586,000 seconds in a year, right? So that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right. Let me answer some of these questions. These questions that I got from the God. I think they're great. And I only have an hour left here, so if I get through these questions and whatever got things you want to talk about, you know, then maybe I can tell you why Jay-Z is not the GOAT. I don't even know why I have to teach that though. You guys should know that though. You know, but all right. It's throw darts at Kasim today, right? Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Got ethered. I don't know how he could be the GOAT. That's like LeBron, though. He just got destroyed by the Mavs. How could he be the GOAT? KRS One. KRS One didn't get ethered. He was given that business. You know what I mean? Right? Right? This is like if all of a sudden, you know, USPA starts making clothing that sells. You know what I'm saying? That goes big time. You know what I mean? Now USPA's the goat. Ralph is no good anymore. Right? I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you, guy. But first question that O asked me is, what's the difference between Islam and Nation Islam, and Islam and the Nation of Gods and Earth? Simply put, I don't want to speak for the Nation of Islam. I've never been part of it. I never tried to be part of it. Um, and like most religions, I only care about the quality of what I learned from the people that were worthwhile that did things outside of their religion. So in this case, the things that Elijah Muhammad wrote. You know what I mean? I've never been an obsessive researcher or current follower of Farrakhan or anything like that. A lot of guys will be like, "Oh, you check Farrakhan's." I don't check none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, if you talk about a mystery God in one speech, though, I already put you there. You know what I'm saying? Right? I followed Khalid Muhammad more so. He was more with us. You know what I mean? But I digress. That's not really relevant. The major difference is I self Lord and Master. We see this as our culture, our way of life that is a shown and proven reality. Meaning this, culture is for. Your culture is only your lived understanding. The depth of your culture, the reasons why you sing, dance, laugh, joke, cry, write, love, all of these things is the building blocks of your culture. And the building blocks of your culture are based on your understanding when you are I, self, Lord, and Master. When you know who you truly are, then every moment, though, you're doing things to make your culture realizations and external displays, natural, organic, external displays of your understanding. What you knowledge, how you have used it, wisdom, and how it becomes unique to you and your own insights developed, the revelations of your own purpose with it. This is what becomes your culture. And the more that you live with this knowledge as I, self, Lord, and Master, the more that this comes to be a reflection all the time. You know? Their Islam, the major difference from any other sect of Islam, because there is a major difference, is that they don't deal with a mystery God that's a mysterious energy or force. For the nation of Islam, though, in many respects, though, their religion, though, is based on a mysterious being. Because whether you prove that Fard was here, the fact that you're still waiting on him, the fact that he is still as crucial to everything, now it's become a mysterious being. But that was a huge step. Okay? Most of the different sects of Islam, Allah is unseen and unexplainable, you know? And even the pronoun of he or they, or he in the Quran, for many Muslims, it's just a weakness of language. You know? Ouch, 793rd. Ouch. Goats teams don't come in 12th place and miss even the playoffs. The play-ins. Yeah, the play-ins. Right, right. I never saw LeBron. I'll say this though. I never saw LeBron as a GOAT though, but he's already old. I don't think that ever hurt him from his GOAT candidacy because he already was not the GOAT anyway. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what happened anyway. A total sum of your activities is your culture being I self Lord and Master. We would work it to be, we would will it to be, and for some that are really working on it, they would hope it to be. Right. Right. All right. Next question here. What does the end in now N signify? Okay, so in the supreme alphabet, right? The 14th letter is the letter N, and it says now or end. You know what I'm saying? It really is the realities uh, of of decision, right? It's either now or it's end. You know what I'm saying? If we're not here in the moment to do it, right? If you don't acknowledge the culture that is being realized and see the power that is born with that, then it's not there. It is end. All right, and it's really almost like an ultimatum reminder. You know, that's how I've always seen it. You know, and there's an interesting question. I love the questions like this. Um, how do you know if someone is God? Give me a minute here. I want to open the materials, certain materials. I have a plus lesson on the Supreme Alphabet. I just want to see if there was something I had written earlier that might be useful um, for this. All right. What do we have? In my supreme alphabet plus lesson, I had written this about now or end. I just want to read it to you because it's also, I think it's worthy. That's why I put it in there. A crucial principle in the 14th letter is the factors that must be in place to make decisions. The power of a decision is in its choice of timing now and the definitive mindset needed end. Ah. In this way, by the way, I'm describing and using the word end as a fortitude, that there is an end to lack of decision making. You see, that there is a fortitude to how we make a decision, and that the confusion ends immediately. Acknowledging how one's culture will influence power others is to decide carefully with regard to the moment and the absolute fortitude in carrying out the decision. All right, so I hope that makes a little bit more sense. This is my build on. Oh man, I don't think I can copy and paste this from here. I can't. I wanted to do that, but I can't. All right. I guess people can rewind later. All right. Next question. How do you know if someone is God? It's not so mysterious, right? Oh, you know, I don't go around trying to figure that out. I just try to figure out though if they're being righteous towards me, if they identify themselves. Because remember the difference between them being, if it's about our nation, I look for certain ways that they declare themselves, because this is something that we do, or the way that we conduct ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's really something where some people won't be revealing too much, whereas others will. You know, so it depends, right? Um, Malik, just email me. You should have gotten that already though. So that's any of my students that are really communicating with me. You should have my Supreme Alphabet build plus lesson. Um, and Malik, I don't put LeBron in the top three all time either. No way, absolutely not. Never, never, never. You know. And my obviously my top three. I'll say this though, it is certainly biased against people that are chokers. Though I need gamers in there, and players that aren't boring. I don't know how people aren't bored by LeBron's game. I think it's clunky. You know, just like Paul Pierce. What a disgusting looking game. You know, I need that smoothness. You know what I'm saying? But if you're saying top three, he definitely can't be above Jordan, Kareem, right? Um, I don't know. There's a lot of people I put above him anyway. But all right. So Malik, email me. And I'll get you the plus lesson. Rome, you said, do you agree that power is the truth and refinement is the proof, or do you think that you can't refine power or the truth? You know, the reason people that build, people that really build that you can't refine the truth and power is the truth and you can't refine it. That's the argument that people that don't have it in there, but that's not really why it was put in there. So that never was relevant. That's the first thing. It's an argument that's a good argument, but it was never relevant. You know what I'm saying? Um, when refinement is used, it's never meant to say you refine the truth. Okay? But the truth is something that we share. Okay? And the truth is not shared all at once. You know what I'm saying? The truth is shared something deliberately, intelligently, and in increments, judged by that person with the truth, judging incrementally. You know what I mean? Right? Malik, if I made a team though, Larry Bird is my power forward, my small forward. I'll never take LeBron. Larry Bird is my small forward though. You know, with today's technology, just like he has though, he'd be fit enough though to dominate. You know what I mean? Look at Luca, no athletic ability, and he's not even close to being what Barrett Bird was. You know, I think that people overrate athleticism sometimes. You know what I mean? Where people are going, oh, today's athletes are so much more greater than before. But tell me the new athletes that are jumping out of the building. There's really only one guy that is dominating, and you could say that it's mainly athleticism, and you don't feel like there's not much else in the game, and that's Giannis, right? But everyone that's dominating has massive amounts of skill. You know what I mean? You need skill. It's not about the athleticism. So when you look at, I'll give you real quick here. Joel Embiid, he's pretty athletic, but he's not that fast or anything like that. He has a real refined game. He has real skill. Joker, a low budget ass Kevin McHale, but come on, those moves, those are great post moves. You know what I mean? Right? With his low budget Kevin McHale ass, right? But anyway, back to this. Uh, Power is the truth and refinement is the proof. That sounds so nice, though. That sounds so nice. But I don't bear witness that refinement is the proof. Like, and that doesn't even, it makes no sense to me that. You know what I'm saying? The truth is the truth. It doesn't need, if it's presented as truth. But refinement was added there because those gods were told by the Father that they weren't dealing, there was no refinement in their power. It means that they were just blazing. So try to think of Cyclops in the X-Men when his glasses break, and his power, his being just goes nuts, right? That's really what the Father meant. I don't know if I don't think that he really expected everyone to fight over whether it should be in the degrees, because I don't think that he maybe had thought that they would just put it in the degrees. I don't think it needs to be in degrees, but I do see it as usefully supplemental, because refinement to me is the focus of like a laser. Light, the focus of light into a laser is the difference between power and refinement. Power is just that light. That's the core of this degree, the power. But laser, when you focus it, the way you share it. In other words, like for example, the Father never got in the soapbox and just yelled out stuff. You know what I mean? I built with so many elders. I never heard him just start lecturing loud and for 85 to hear and things like that. Everything was very targeted. He's very personal, very intimate. So to me, that's what refinement means. It doesn't mean that when you use it. And if you don't see it, I would ask my students not even to use it. But I'd rather, if you're not going to use it, especially if I'm teaching you, not to have some dumb, contrary reasons why it's no good, because that's not why it was put in there. So it's like power is the truth. Power can't be refined because power is the truth. That's not what that means. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about ourselves all of a sudden when we talk about the supreme mathematics and everything, all epic and magical, and then we talk about ourselves so regular and human and mortal. You can't have one and the other. You know what I'm saying? Power is this elegant, incredible thing, and it cannot be developed or refined. But you want to humanize yourself because you might not want to take the responsibility that you might make a mistake or anything like that. I think that's where I have the problem. You know what I mean? So no, I don't think that refinement is the proof. It's not. That never was proof. Um, and I don't think that you can refine power. But the point was, power means influence. Power doesn't mean truth. I don't know where people keep saying that. That's probably why the argument. Power does not mean the truth. Okay? Power is not truth. Okay? That's not what the word means. That's not what it means in the supreme math. Power does not mean truth. Power means the influence of the culture that you live in that is embedded with truth. That is what? A reality of truth. The reality of truth is actually your culture, the way of life that you share with the outside world. The way that it extends is the power of that culture. Okay? Now that culture can extend itself, right? And influence others intensely or very deliberately and very meticulously. That is, if we had to pick where refinement would go, would be right there. Right? So it is really a supplemental add-on. And if you don't see that as an add-on to remind yourself to, because these supreme mathematics are not a spell book. Okay? People talk grandiose and epic about it, and then they talk mortal about themselves. You can't, it doesn't make any sense. And that's where we get stuff like the power is the truth. So that means that whatever my culture is, whatever I live out, though, I'm automatically giving out epic vibes all the time. Like, like it doesn't make any sense. And then when something wrong happens, what does that mean, though? Well, I'm the God. You know what I'm saying? I busted it out. You know what I'm saying? I threw out all my shit. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It leads to, a lot of ego, and it's not very logical. You know what I'm saying? But I'll probably get people to quote little pieces of this, and it's like, soon as he said that the power is not the truth. What is God? Is that now? How about knowledge? How about understanding? You know what I mean? How about the knowledge that the black man is got? How about the understanding of that knowledge, which means that I know who I am and I see it. And now every single thing that I do, every single thing that I write, every single thing that I say and present and work and live is revealing that. In what? In my culture. Power is just where it's going, how intense it's going. Okay? Now tell me this though. The truth is that, let's look at this. I mentioned Farrakhan. Farrakhan's message, whatever it is, has gone farther into more people than Allah's message. So whose power was more intense though? So let's not judge things like that. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Power is not the truth, because then other people who have had more influence, right? Like Jay-Z, end up being the ones with the truth. That's not the way it goes. If this was the case, though, then Eminem is the fucking power. You know what I mean? And then that's it. I call it raps. You know what I mean? There goes everything. You know what I mean? Cymatic piece. Divine truth. You said, I see refinement being very important, especially for one's physical composition, also one's lifestyle. If they are not living a righteous way of life, refinement being important for said individuals to be able to clean themselves up. I get that, Divine, but here's why I don't see refinement, though, in that nature. Here, and there's also a problem that I don't think people that hate it. I think everybody from Medina, mainly, that doesn't like refinement in a degree, that hates it and divines it, they don't even know why it doesn't make sense. And no disrespect to your divine truth, but why that shows, which is not a illogical thought. It's very logical, right thought, but it is not exact for it being in the fifth degree, right? If it's like that, okay? If it's like that, I see refinement, this is what you said, being very important, especially for one's physical composition, also one's lifestyle. Very true. If they're not living a righteous way of life, refinement being important for set individuals to clean themselves up. If you are God and you live out your culture as God, then it extends outwardly. That extension of whatever culture you're living, though, now is power. So for my works, and now they're going out. This is not the time while your works are being influencing everyone for you to clean up. They're actually, it's an actual, it's not a noun, it's a verb in there. The culture is more of the verb, is more of the noun. This is the verb. This is the action word of what's going out there. So there is no time to clean yourself up when it would imply that you lived a sloppy culture and now the power is showing you to clean up. We're not looking at the order of how we build. The cleaning up is in the wisdom. I acknowledge all of this and then I use it. And then it molds the useful parts, the most useful parts, prioritizes them, and what becomes the most useful and the most insights that are drawn out from it are my understanding, and that becomes my culture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look, 4, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6 is the outer. 1, 2, 3 is the inner. That cleaning up and developing is already happening, has to happen before you share. So you would live out a culture that extends to the populace, the entire world. And it was unrefined. Refinement has many definitions. And in that sense, the definition is not incorrect, but it is not proper for here. The only way it works is if power is in the focus. The focus. Keep telling you, it's the focus of your power. When you have your culture, your way of life, and you share your works, how will you focus it? How will you share yourself? How will you deliver yourself? These are the things that you mold in your culture, and that extends outwardly. Okay? I hope I'm explaining this well enough. All right. Okay. All right. It is a supplemental term, one that was added on by specific individuals, and the Father was okay with them adding it to their particular degrees. The only way that it could happen, divine truth, is that if it happens simultaneously. It is a reminder. Refinement is not separate from power, but that power is always refined, meaning focused. It isn't a power that's being cleaned up. You cannot clean up power. Like, once you act, that's your culture. Once you're acting, the impact of that is already being felt. Like, I just told you, I published a book. I can't, and if I could, I wouldn't pull it back. I've already affected things with the work, right? So it's already out there. So power can be judged of whether it had refinement as a reminder as you develop and write your history in advance. But as you look at something from the past, as you do when you use supreme mathematics, and learn to build and study, you look at the past and see how it went to 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5. That refinement always happened, right, by a focus of what that power was. Was it blaring out, "All right, black man is God," and just sloppy and incoherent and crazy? Did it have real work? Right? Right? Was Jay-Z's blaring out with massive power, "The black man is God," on his records, though? Was it really worthwhile? Or was it really unrefined and sloppy as fuck? Because the next bar was talk about the mystery God. Here we go. There we go. Boom. All right. Got him. Kasim. Come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? By the way, I could never, we always, side note, we always talk about Nas and his deplorable beat selection. What were you guys listening to with Blueprint 3? Some of the worst music, most cheesiest music I've ever heard, though. Unbelievable. You telling me you're out there, Kasim, cutting it up? You're cutting up instrumentals of Blueprint 3? Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness. I messaged with you, Kasim. I got love for you. Good question here. I may not be able to do all the questions here. The guy asked such good questions. Did Allah fulfill his goal? Now, I can't tell you what Allah's goal was. I can tell you that he was, from what I know, from what the elders taught me, was that he was always content at every moment that whatever goals he had were slowly being fulfilled, even if there were daily frustrations of many kinds and students being pains in the ass, because every time he taught freely, and he remember, he set up a whole culture, and I don't think that he could not be fulfilled as far as personal contentment. If you talk to the elders, because they had so much direct love for him, something that we don't have because we didn't grow up with him, from what I know from the elders, they really felt that he did fulfill his goal, even though he was returned to the essence. I never heard once. You know what's interesting? I'm gonna say this. I never heard once, right, that that the father didn't get to do all that he wanted to do. Never heard that. And now that I think about this question, I find that intriguing. You know what I'm saying? Very intriguing. So I would say I think he felt that way, and I can say that I know that the elders feel that way. And I would like to think I would like to think and hope that he did feel that way. Because I think that, me personally, all you got to do is teach. You cannot make anyone God. These are his teachings. Like, you cannot make anyone be what they are or will not be. And so you have to be content. And for him to have taught so many and made a living and established a way for us to actually have a living culture of this, and have it where people say that you're the true and living God and really go out and study it, something that the whole world has not done, and has not done overtly ever that I can find, and certainly not as detailed in its simplicity. So, how could you not be fulfilled? My chlorophyll drink, amazing grass antioxidant blend, very fruity, very tasty. Just put it in water. Drink that every day. Drink that every day. Next question. What's the God's present reality? It's funny. I guess in this meeting I'll find out, right? But when you say God's present reality, I think that we're in a point where the world, much of the world, this knowledge was shared to, where we established the first establishment, but it was only logical that many fell off. Like, you have to be comfortable that no one will ever be able to be taught well enough. I think this is why I'm able to teach this long. And if there's any stress, if there's any decay that I've experienced in my life, it certainly has nothing to do with teaching the knowledge of self, you know? Right? I got baby mamas though, so that's probably where all of it goes. But it doesn't come from trying to make people, have the knowledge, right? Although I contradict myself, because one of the major problems, and I will admit this here, the way that I see someone having the knowledge has been probably most affected, where I need them to have the knowledge of self a certain way, has probably been with the mothers of my children. You know what I mean? And again, like I'm saying, that can only lead to disappointment. That can only lead to disappointment. Right? You cannot make someone, right? So, what is the God's present reality? The ones that are really teaching are gonna come out. They're gonna shine, and the others that don't won't. But the more real it gets, though, the more ciphers get smaller. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this though: there are more quality and great music from multiple 5%ers making music than there ever was before. And yet people say, "Oh, the gods are not there." But if you go into any underground cipher, the dominant forces in every cipher will be influenced, or people that have much love and influence from the 5%ers. I can say that as a fact. You know what I mean? We already know that the best journalist in hip hop is a 5%. You see that plug? I did get myself a plug there, right? But seriously, I'll let everybody else decide that. But 793, you said a lot of that early millennium music didn't age well beyond the moment. Yeah, that's why I call the 2000s the dark ages. Those first 10 years of this century was generally a lot of horrible music that was pumped as good, and it set the stage for today's horrible music. Difference between today definitely is because of that, and they've been established as genres. Like people give you a bad music and they'll say that's trap, that's this and that's that, and it's like you named it. You know what I'm saying? And they got that from reggaeton, really. You keep doing the same thing a million times, though, it gets assumed to be a genre. No, it's really just you doing the same thing again and again. All right, I digress. Musical darts today in the middle of things. Rome, you said with our 12 jewels being knowledge, wisdom, 12 jewels is a plus lesson, so it doesn't have to be everyone's. When you say ours, it doesn't have to be everyone's. It's a plus lesson. So, you know what I mean? All right. Just making that note, though, because a lot of 12 jewels doesn't really resonate with me, particularly happiness. You know what I'm saying? I think happiness should always be the case. Once you have knowledge, wisdom, understanding, I think you should be happy. You know what I'm saying? With our 12 jewels being knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality, food, clothes, shelter, love, peace, and happiness, are we in power of our future, which means we are refined by the ways and actions? That's a little complex, the wording there. You know what I'm saying? But again, no, I can't say that, because I don't necessarily think that order is tried and true. Even though I think particularly RZA has some of the greatest builds on 12 jewels that really make it useful. But no, I don't. The name of this that I use is Amazing Grass. So you go to their website. It's the same thing, amazinggrass.com. They have all types of flavors. So. Spirulina and chlorella are extremely powerful. You know what I mean? If you're having a spirulina, moringa, sea moss, chlorella, that's potent. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. All right, let me get to this next question here. I missed it here. Why are the Native Americans only half original? Can they be? Oh, no, 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 no. Wherever you learned that, that was incorrect. Native Americans are not half original. They are the true and living gods 100%. All right. In the discussion, there is no argument here. You know, they are mentioned separately as the 2 million Indians, but they are not half original. Half original means someone that we are using that term to define someone deliberately because of their ways and actions are of devilishment and righteousness, which means that they're not really original in thought. So it's basically all wrong. But just to point out that they're using knowledge or insights, but or half original if we're being really technical to someone's bloodlines. But when you do that, also remember that you're also being disrespectful to that person because anyone that's original is original. And there's no half original individuals. That's what the mindset. The mindset is wrong. And the mindset is wrong, then everything else goes down the drain. All right, lost my track here. How do the gods look at the Spanish from Spain? I can I never had lots of talks with people about Spaniards. I could say myself though, as knowing that the Spaniards are the oppressors that came in, I don't see them as original. I see them in many respects as half original because they have those half bloodlines and they do devilishment. So generally, they're just it's a very unique oppressor because they were already bloodline level half original, right? So unlike the English, the Dutch, I mean, they were already mixed, right? So it depends on, like everybody, it would depend on the individual. But in general, though, there's just like any other oppressor. How long should it take? How long should it take you to master what's? I'm gonna assume master means memorize, right? It depends. I think students that have they overanalyze it and they take too long because they want to have like the best understanding of it before they even quote it. I think you should have a developing understanding and not try so hard to have a definitive understanding because you won't get it until you get all of it. And then you have to have all of it for a long time before you really start to get it, really, really, really get it. So I think that it depends. And students are doing so much now because I don't have students that are just young and in high school. I got a lot of students that are in their 20s and their 30s. So it depends. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think if you're not, if you don't, if your schedule is crazy and if you lose track of it, then you know that your schedule's off. And that's the best way to describe that. You know what I mean? Right. And if I'm teaching you for a while, then I'll let you know that you should speed up or whatever like that, you know. But I usually don't criticize people like that. If I see them being productive in life, then I see already that what they have is being used. And sometimes I care more about that, you know. Not Let me rephrase. I almost always care more about that. You know what I'm saying? Is there a difference between a teacher and Liner? No, and Liner's a teacher, but he's the one that's taking you through 120. And I like that phrase because I like to honor my teacher that took me through 120 and put that universal flag pin on me. You know what I'm saying? It's a moment in my life I'll never forget. And for that, though, I'll always call knowledge me my enlightener. Not just for that moment, but all of the work that he did with me, all of the building, all of the time that he took with me to get me to that point. So that's why we use the word. That's why I use the word enlightener. Some people don't want it. They just feel like it's submission or looking at another man. Like, come on, man. We're all learning from others, though, and have to be respect for those that show that love to really share it with you. And I don't know of a better way than having such a great title of honor. Mm-hmm. Knowledge Allah. I wouldn't get into trying to reword the 12 jewels. I never thought about rewording it because it's a plus lesson. So I don't want to mess with somebody else's plus lesson. And like I said, I don't. If I did it, I wouldn't have happiness in there at all. You know, I wouldn't have happiness in there at all. You know, as one example. So, you know. And for my life, right? Food, clothing, and shelter is there, right? But I've had love, peace. I had love and peace, and I didn't have clothing and shelter. You know what I'm saying? Um, I've had love and peace, and was willing to sacrifice my food, clothing, and shelter, and have sacrificed my food, clothing, and shelter. So, and if I had to say, like, my life in general, I've sacrificed a lot of my food, clothing, and shelter in many respects to do this. You know what I mean? uh, to the wrong people for the wrong reasons with the right intentions, all of these things. You know what I'm saying? So I, I could never see the order as so definitive. You know what I mean? Could never see the order as so definitive. Right? Frank H. Hollahop. How about the South American Indian? I mean, all the indigenous, everybody. You know what I mean? They're all the true and living gods. The black, brown, yellow. Black, brown, yellow. All right, Frank? Black, brown, yellow. Those, and if we need to start seeing all of our original peoples. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit late here, alter I, but you said I can't do that because of a circumstance. I'm not sure what it is that you can't do, because I didn't follow like when you do that up there. So I apologize for that. All right, I'm gonna let that go. I have 10 more questions, but it's a short time that I don't want to rush through them. All right. But here's a good thing. I'll answer this question because it's good as a last heavy question. What's an important thing to keep in mind when building on today's math a degree? I have a build called the some of these things. The what do I call it? The justice build. Okay. Now the justice build is literally about all the things you look at in a degree, so that way you could break it down, analyze it. If you're getting stuck, how you should approach it. Um, but what do you keep in mind with today's math, a degree, and stuff like that? Right? Your principles. You start with your principles, the nature. How do you describe your principles and your nature, the way that you are with these degrees? So the first thing I like to look at when I look at a degree is, what is the nature of me, though? You know what I mean? Today's degree is God. You know what I mean? What makes me a supreme being? Okay. I look at the things that I must do. I look at the things that I have to. All of that. You know what I mean? Shit. All right. All right. The remember when I train students in martial arts, right? I trained the way I was taught by Segung Bobby Lee Whitaker. He taught us to use whatever moves we were learning. We learned them as 180 moves. We'd mix and match them so that they become nearly infinite. And so the way we mix and match them is that when we're training, we're thinking about all types of situations that could arise. And so our mentality, the work that we do, is thinking about possible situations and let our mind flow in the gist of these situations that our mind creates. You know, it's almost like Kobe Bryant when he used to play. he would imagine what things would go in his practicing. Even when he was alone, he would imagine moves and what he would do. That's why, like for example, that move, like you see a lot of times where he would hit the game-winning shot or like really big shots, and the guy would be stuck on him, and he would be pump faking, and finding that moment to rise. That's usually where a person wouldn't shoot. But he would practice this so much with that mentality of what he would do that it was almost a practice of visualization. When you look at your supreme mathematics, you're visualizing the principles and the nature of you as regards that. When I say I'm God, what am I? That's an assignment, right? When I say God, what am I? Don't tell me what God ought to be. Good orderly direction. He used to do this. He used to do. What am I going to be? And you name specific things that you do. And when these builds get so good, they'll be so intimate that I and others, you won't want them to read it though. Maybe not just yet. Because they're your personal. I need them to get personal. Like, I think it was Wise You who had his build here. Right? When they get so personal. God knowing right from wrong and doing things right. What makes something that he does right? How will he do things respectfully? How will he do things practical? How will he do things useful? Specific situations and how that works. You know? How does that work with the degrees? Well, I would have to knowledge this. I would have to wisdom this. I would have to understand this. I would have to live out this type of culture, this particular culture. And I would have to extend this level of power with it. And I would have to bring forth this type of equality, this type of balance with it. That's what you're doing with the principles. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So with that question, I'm gonna leave that there. We have a couple of minutes left. All right. I like to give everything conclusion, right? Really quick build, right? The highest level that I grew. Talk about music for a little bit since I mentioned this to be complete in this class, and I can do it very quickly. I've written a lot about this. I just haven't released it yet. The quickest way, right? To explain this though is a term that I use, and that term is only makes sense though if you understand that when I write about hip hop music and culture, meaning the arts, the cultures, the culture, the complete variety of expressions and the nature, I write it as its ideal should be, as a counterculture. Okay. And so one of those terms that I put out though is pop MC, right? When I use that term, I use it in two ways. Okay. I use the word pop MC positively and I use it negatively. And I have two great examples. Okay. And negatively, right? When I use it positively, it means someone that has a lot of crossover appeal. A lot of their work, though, will be very crossover. But for some reason, because of their abilities and the always willing to add on their abilities and the nature of what hip hop ought to be to the best of their ability, even though these products become very crossover, that person still ends up with a complete original way of doing it. And I've always considered the greatest pop MC to be Busta Rhymes. I don't listen to Busta Rhymes all the time. But if you look at his career, if you look at his abilities, from the live show abilities to his technical skills, which really he has technical skills as well as anyone. He can match up with anyone technically. You know what I mean? If you name any part. Content wise, he's not as deep as everyone. But if you go content, it's probably the weakest part, but it's still good enough where he's able to have real songwriting abilities, But he takes those songwriting abilities and uses them for different types of crossover like songs. You know what I mean? Fused R&B, fused this, whatever it is, right? But in the end, though, his career is as a pop MC. And I use that positive in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? Right? And why is you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's also about the comfortability in when it comes to martial arts. To me, it's about the comfortability um, in how you move. So I don't always like to say that like katas. I don't do katas though, so I don't have katas. Whenever you see me moving though, there's no set movements though. These are just ways that I tend to move, but there's no set movements per se. But um, but anyway, pop MC. But when I use the term, I'm usually more so, I use the term pop MC negatively, meaning someone that has all the abilities, every single ability at a high level of what an MC should be, right? But their content is usually hypocritical. It is usually crossover because it is going with the lowest common denominator, money, cash, hoes, right? Right, and their career is one of using their abilities to leech off of the abilities of others, though. So when I call Jay-Z a pop MC, I'm using it in a negative sense because his entire career is about using other people's techniques and amplifying them in his own with his own abilities. Right? There's a lot of copying, a lot of biting, and I don't mean just Biggie lines. Okay. Um, uh, Everything from Reasonable Doubt being a low budget Cuban links, which is by design. Um, Everything from the dilution of what the music is. Okay. He's one of the major artists, and you could say the artist, though, that diluted the sound of hip hop. Okay. In 1996, right? Along after Puffy and everything, we could put probably Jay-Z right behind him. And you gotta put Biggie in there because he did it though. You say Puffy, but it was Diddy who did it too. Diddy and then Puffy, I'd say. Because Diddy did it with Mary too. But this idea of simple sampling. So sampling was done, but it wasn't done in the hip hop cultural way. And you're sampling music that is blatant, Barry, Roy Ayers, just blatant. There's you don't even need to decipher. There's no digging. There's no, oh, I wonder what that is though. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. Hell, Isley Between the Sheets has an instrumental that they released. So you didn't even sample Isley Brothers Between the Sheets. You just sampled the instrumental. They literally released the instrumental for that. That's not what sampling was. It's what it was made to be because of the dilution. Jay-Z's big in that. He's very big in that. And if you don't think that he simplified the depth of what Raekwon and Ghost were doing by giving that whole lifestyle of a drug dealer getting out of the game, giving it some type of depth to it, and just simplifying it as like, yo, this is what we do to get in the top. Some of it is hell, some of it has the evils and all that, but we don't give a shit. It's about rugged individualism. I'm going to write this down because you do your research. Rugged individualism. Before Jay-Z, right? And after Jay-Z, there's nobody that has amplified this American principle more so than him in the music. There's absolutely no way that I could ever say he's the GOAT when that's his main theme. That's his main theme. Okay. That's his main theme, And we talk about integrity, though, right? Was his word bond when he went all over the horribly scored Blueprint 3 and said that he just gave you a handshake to Dame Dash, and that's why his word is not bond, so it doesn't matter. Like he basically said that he didn't sign nothing, and that he's not Santa Claus, so he didn't sign anything with you, right? This is really the build. Yeah, you have to think clearly about what we say would be the greatest. What is the greatest though? You know what I'm saying? It means that they did something at such a high level of excellence and it upheld everything that we were about in that reality. Now, he didn't tell me that all of the things that he has said throughout his years has, with integrity, with honor, with insight, has reflected everything that we ought to be. There's a reason why there's a difference between the music of Tupac and the music of Jay-Z, even though Jay-Z, Tupac doesn't have nearly come close to so many of the technical verbal dexterity techniques that Jay-Z has. But there was an underlying level of integrity, an ability to capture the realities, right? Come on. Songwriting that advanced that. Yeah, I'm using some, right? So, what would be greatness if you talked about music? It would be someone that would take in all the things, all of those things that you say embody what hip hop truly is, and was able to reflect that in a career and do it not for a long period of success, monetary success, but actual works. Classic album, classic album, classic album. That's not Jay-Z. And Nas is great. He's a GOAT candidate, but it's not Nas. It still is KRS One. It still is Rakim. You know what I mean? It still is, Cool G Rap. It still is Chuck D. That's my Mount Rushmore. You know? I don't even know why we even again, like I'm judging it as a counterculture, not something that is worthwhile because it's sold. You know what I mean? So I can't do that. But that's my quick answer. Um, I gotta let everybody go and get into this other meeting for the school, and let everybody know what happened with it. You know what I'm saying? Um, and again, if anyone is interested in any of the books or anything like that, or just want to build, hopefully for the first thing, most importantly, that they want to build, right? Anything that I'm doing on the hip hop side and stuff like that, go to my social media and stuff, or email me later about that. All right. But with that said, I'm gonna let everybody go because I have that meeting for the school to get into now. I don't know what that's about, but we'll see. All right. Hopefully, I could be at the school next week. Uh, but you guys, if you're stuck online, you'll know. If you're in the New York City area, keep abreast with me. Okay. All right. Email me, contact me through the social media, things like that. All right. And everything is Sunez7 on the Twitter. It's Sunez IG. Right. All right. So with that said, I'll let everybody go for this week, and we'll build. All right. Peace.